Okay, I'm here with Dion Almaer. It's from Google. Actually, what do you do at Google? What's your official job title?
So I work in Google developer programs.
Okay.
And work on Google Gears, but all these other things that have an API to do with developers, I get to tinker around.
Oh, cool. So you just basically like look at all the different developer, solutions you guys have at Google, play around with them, talk to developers about them,
Yep.
that kind of stuff.
Yep,
Oh.
exactly. Yeah.
So pretty much the job everybody wants at Google, right?
It's pretty fun. Yeah, it's pretty fun.
That's awesome. So last night, there was like a huge announcement, and I thought we'd just ask you a few questions about it.
Yeah.
So I think it was called was it the App Engine?
Yep, Google App Engine, and basically it's really simple. It's kind of like a way to like host apps in the Google Cloud. So Google talked about like Bigtable, that's our scalable database with sharding, and GFS is behind that, and all this kind of stuff. We want to make it available for anyone to build web apps. So in the kind of meme of like pushing the web forward, like on the Gear side, we want to do things to make browsers better and stuff like that. And here we just want to make it easy for you to write a little app, deploy it for free to begin with, and just kind of get going. So that's what it's really about.
Okay, cool. So how does this so I know there's a lot of different things happening in this kind of cloud space right now. There's like Amazon's projects, Microsoft's even kind of getting into the game with their database stuff. I mean, how does this App Engine like compare to those other solutions? Which should I use, the Google solution versus these other ones?
Yeah, so if you look at like EC2, that's very much kind of like a low-level provisioning kind of system.
Yeah.
So you've got the S3 side of it, where you've got the data, and you've got the EC2 side of it doing the computation, and it's not a trivial thing to set up, but it's a great solution. But you have to have like tools to manage your instances and all of that kind of stuff. But if you want a way to scale out that's fairly cheap, S3 and EC2 are awesome.
Okay.
What our thing is about is totally different. It's not like having these low-level, computing platform pieces. It's about taking a web app and hitting deploy and seeing it live on the site.
Yeah.
So it's kind of the full web stack. So you develop at the moment. We've released Python as an engine, but the actual core infrastructure is totally language neutral. So we're going to have different languages coming out, and depending on what people want, we'll be able to prioritize or whatever. But to begin with, we've got Python because we already had all of that. Obviously.
Yeah, you have Guido around, so I guess he could help out there.
Exactly, Guido was actually working on this project. It's been really fun. But so yeah, you build an app like like basically anything-ish with Python. We'll talk about some of the limitations, but take Django, build a little Django app, and you can just literally take that code, you run it on a little dev server, so you can just download this little thing, literally type in a command, dev app server, and that's your development experience. You build the app, you hit save, you hit reload in the browser, it automatically in dev mode reloads everything, all that kind of fun stuff, and you go away.
So that was kind of my next question. I mean, you guys focused on Python, but like you said, we can expect other languages in the future, possibly?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we want to go through and this stuff, language wars is always hard, right? Everyone wants, I want Java, I want PHP, I want... We want all of them. Like, I'm a Rails guy, for example, and that's why there's another thing out there called Heroku that allows me to take a Rails app and deploy it. So that's a really interesting solution too. It's a little Y Combinator startup. And I'd love this for Rails, because when I was developing Rails apps, I love Rails from a development standpoint, but deployment was a pain in the arse.
Yeah,
so
totally.
this will be like my holy grail, to just be able to hit deploy, it scales up, it handles, you get dark, no problem. It's in the Google infrastructure.
So we've kind of talked, like why you would use it. I mean, when shouldn't I use Google's solution? I mean, are there like some limitations I should be aware of in that regard?
So there's definitely a whole set of limitations. So for example, it's not like you can take a Django app and just take what you've written and just put it on there, right? So you're living in a sandbox. So there's certain things you can't do. You can't do things on the network in the same way that you used to. So there's an API called URL fetch that you can use to get URLs, but you can't just use any like normal socket connections or anything like that. There's no such thing as using the file system, because you're up in the cloud in this like weird space, so you can't do any file stuff. And you actually find like a bunch of libraries as we go through and kind of play with this stuff. They'll like use the file system to like cache files under temp or something. So it's kind of funny as I've like built apps on this. You like bring in some Python library and it's like, oh god damn it!
It won't work.
They do this little file system thing. You have to like go through and patch it, and we're working on doing that stuff more and more. But there's those kind of things. But the big thing is the database side.
Yeah.
You don't just have like MySQL running, blah blah blah. So you take something like Rails. Active record is a big part of what makes Rails productive.
Yeah.
You won't be able to use it out of the box if we had a Ruby support. Same with Django and its ORM and SQL Alchemy and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, it'll kind of have to be retrofit and to use like Bigtable basically.
Exactly, yeah. And Bigtable, the reason it can scale is through its limitations.
Yeah.
So we've been playing around with taking the SQL stuff and running a wrapper on top of Bigtable that obviously gives you a very strict subset of SQL. So
cool.
Again, you have to kind of build with this in mind.
So I guess really the target here is somebody who wants a really scalable app but can play within the limitations of what's kind of been deployed out there.
Exactly. Yeah. Like for me, doing the kind of stuff I do, I'm playing around with little apps all the time, and this is like heaven for me because like greenfield, build a little app. Especially as we're doing more of these, rich internet stuff, you're doing less and less on the server. So I can just do my little web service pieces back there, and then be happy. So like, I've got this little Twitter app that I've been working on, where I really like Twitter, but I'd love to have metadata. So when I like do my posts, I can do like a bracket, location, long lat, and like have it support hashtags and stuff.
Yeah.
And then as I do it.
Oh, you can come through. No, it's fine.
We're on a train in London. It's all fun. Going to London. So it's something that like natively supports hashtags. Takes what I'm doing in Twitter, passes out the hashtags, passes out the metadata, saves that into the Bigtable.
Yeah.
And then can do smart things with it instead of just having to deal with what you have to deal with now. But
Cool.
I think especially beginning with, you got these like lots of little apps. You don't want to worry about doing deployment. It's a great way to just kind of get going on things.
Yeah, cool. That's awesome. So I know the beta's pretty full. I was looking at it last night. I think it probably filled up quite rapidly. Are there ways developers can still use this stuff and play with it while not being on the beta?
Yeah, so you can download the dev app server right now, which again mimics this whole system. So you can start writing it locally and running the apps, and then when things open up, you'll be able to deploy them. And even though as you say, kind of things are full now, we're like very rapidly opening up another set. So by the time this goes out, there may be a bunch more. Even we want people to be able to play with this stuff.
Okay, cool. Well, thanks for that, Dion. I'll turn this around now. So I got two cameras here, as you can probably tell. We're on the on-air tour. We're going to be going to London. It's our last stop on this leg. As you can probably tell, we're on the Eurostar. We just got out of the channel. And we'll be updating you with some more information. I'm going to try to play with this app engine a little bit. Maybe see if I can get a Flex app integrated with it. We'll see what happens. But stick around. We'll get some more information to you guys.